Welcome back to Lab at Home with the Museum of Life and Science. I am Peregrine and we have Catalyst volunteer Caroline participating with us today. As always, I hope that you will all help lead our program with your questions and thoughts and ideas in the chat box. Do we have any friends out there who are going to be doing our experiment with us? I guess I should ask, are you going to be doing it at home or are you going to be doing it with Caroline and myself? We have some people who will.
Perfect way of asking it. How exciting!
So some of us do. We've got a bunch of random bits and bobs to work with. I have got the same here. I can't wait to show you all of the stuff that I have. What we asked you to gather today was a bunch of just little things, like little pieces, something to put them on and something to cover them up with. Because today we are going to be celebrating Brain Awareness Week by testing our brain, specifically our memory. So we've talked about brains before on our program, and I'm wondering if we can just go on a quick review. I'd love to ask all of you, what does the brain do? What is the brain? What does the brain make you think of? Tell me what you know about the brain. Makes you think. It does make you think. No, it does. It's something that makes you think. Very nice. When you are thinking about what the brain is, your brain is what's doing the thinking. Ooh, we're thinking that maybe the brain is what controls you, or the brain is what tells your body what to do. I love this.
Absolutely. Connections.
I love it. Our brain is inside of our body. Ooh, it has sections. Yeah, it's got different kind of different parts of it that do different jobs. It's in different hemispheres. You have kind of different parts of it, and it looks all kind of wrinkly and interesting. This is wonderful, right? Our brain is, of course, in our head. It does a lot of amazing things. It is something that helps us, right? We're saying it helps us think. Oh, it's connected to our spinal cord. I love this. Our spinal cord, which goes up and down our spine and helps connect our brain to the nerves all over our body. Okay, so the brain is sort of like the central central computer for helping our bodies work. It helps us take in information about the world, helps us decide what to do with this information, and helps us react to this information.
Also helps us store it.
Also, this is very important, like Caroline said, it's for storing the information that we learn and that we sense. Ooh, and this is a really good point. I remember you mentioned, one of my friends mentioned this before. Hamza mentioned that the ancient Egyptians thought the heart was where all of our thoughts came from. And that's why they used to remove it in mummies. I love that thought. We're saying that in times past, we thought that other body parts maybe controlled the way that we think. And now we know that the heart is a very important part of the body for sure, and it reacts very strongly to our thoughts and our emotions. But it's all kind of centered up here in this little hub that, as one of my friends in the chat says, sends messages. So what we're going to do is today we're going to be testing our brain's short-term storage. We're going to be putting some new information into our brain and testing how well we remember it in a really short period of time. So I asked us to all look for a bunch of little pieces of things from around their house. I'll show you what I have. I'm going to switch to an experiment cam really quickly here. I've got a tray with all sorts of things on them. They're all different things. They're all just little pieces of things. And if you're going to be doing the experiment with another person at home, then that's one way to do this. You can also do the experiment with Caroline and myself, because Caroline and I will be testing each other's memory. I think I'll probably go first. I'll test you first, Caroline.
Sounds perfect. I also have a tray of bits and things, so we'll be able to go back and forth.
Perfect. So hopefully we'll be able to go back and forth. We have several different kind of trials to do, so different ways to maybe affect our memory. We're going to test them out. You've got a bunch of these pieces, or maybe you have a bunch of these pieces on your plate or tray or area. And I think I asked you to get like 15 to 20. I have 20 on my tray. Caroline, how many do you have?
I have 13. I can show you guys real quick.
Perfect, let's take a look.
13 items on my tray.
Oh, that's a fake candle. I was
Yes, yes, it's a fake candle, but
that's so funny.
a little lit up. All right, I'll pop back.
So if you don't already, all we need to do is spread these items out on your tray, just so that you can easily see each one of them. Because we're going to mainly be putting information into our brain using our eyes. We're going to look at what we see and try to remember it. This experiment is kind of really simple to do. What we'll be doing is showing you the tray for 10 seconds. You can look at it. Can't touch it, just looking at the items on either your tray, if you're doing it yourself, or at the items on our tray. If you're doing it at home, the person giving the test will then cover up the tray. And then they're going to reach under really carefully and take away one item. And there, you want to make sure that the person you're testing cannot see the item. What Caroline and I are going to do is we're just going to turn our camera off so that you can't see which one we're removing. Then you get a chance to look at it again. We'll uncover it. You'll take a look at all the items and see if you can remember which one is missing. So it's a pretty simple one. We're just seeing if we can remember the items on our tray well enough that we'll notice, we'll remember which one is missing. So it sounds super simple. I'm going to go ahead and Caroline, I'm going to test you if that sounds okay.
Sounds great.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my experiment cam for 10 seconds and I'll count down from 10. You need to look at all of the items. Then I'll turn my camera back to me, remove one, and we'll see if you can remember which one it is.
Ooh.
All right. Friends, what do you think? Are we ready to try it out? And you're welcome to see if you can remember which one was removed as well. You can comment that one in the chat. Caroline will promise not to peek.
Yes, no peeking. You guys, please comment in the chat.
All right. So I'm going to turn my, my camera on here. We're just going to look at it in silence for 10 seconds, or it's going to be noisy because I'm going to be counting down from 10. We're just going to take a look at it. Ready, set, go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to bring it back to me. All right, so I'm going to bring it back to me. And now that you can't see my tray, I'm going to take something out. And then, all right, so I've taken one item out and I'm going to see if Caroline can remember which item it is. So I'm going to go ahead and put my experiment cam back. This part is not timed. If you have a guess, you are welcome to guess as well in the chat. Caroline won't peek.
Ooh, I think I know, but I will. I will wait until we have a few seconds elapsed. People feel free to put in the chat, but I definitely do see something missing.
Ooh, so you already know what's missing. Okay. Ooh.
All right. I don't know how much time has passed if people have already said, but once Peregrine gives the go ahead.
We do have a couple guesses in the chat. This is really good.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and let you tell us what you think, Caroline.
All right. I think that there was a die or a dice in the bottom corner of the tray that is now gone.
You're exactly right. And we had a lot of guesses in the chat that it was the dice that was missing. This is
wonderful.
Really cool. So it sounds like you guys, this was a really easy one. We had so many people guess correctly. What I'm going to do is, because I want to make sure that this isn't super easy, I'm going to add a few more items. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange it a little bit. And I'm going to add 10 more items.
Wow.
So this is going to be a lot of items. I'll make sure that they're all in view of the camera here. I've added a few more things. I now have 30 items on my tray. We're going to try the same experiment again. I'm going to flash my camera on. You'll get 10 seconds to take a look, and then we will see if we can remember which one is removed. And if it's still super easy, I might add a few more. We'll see what happens. You guys have just really amazing memory. This is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my experiment cam. Ready? 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now I'm going to, I guess you get an extra second or two when I'm switching my camera. I don't think that matters too much. I have now removed something from the tray, and I'm going to turn my camera back on, and you guys can see if you can tell with more items now. See if you can tell which one is missing. All right,
It's gonna
ready?
be hard.
Yeah, and just like before, we'll give you guys a few seconds, and then Caroline will make her guess.
Yes.
I was gonna say while we're waiting, well, first I'll let you look at these. While we're waiting for people to give any guesses, if they have guesses, let me ask you, Caroline, what is it like trying to remember these things? What do you think? Is it easy, hard?
It's definitely very it is challenging in a good way. You have to think of how you remember something.
And we'll be talking about the method for remembering in just a minute here. I think we'll give everybody just a few more seconds to make their guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll have you make your guess, Caroline. All right, we had one person who guessed. Let's see, Caroline, can you tell which item is missing?
You know, I actually cannot this time. I did not remember which item went missing.
And that's probably because we introduced 10 whole new items. Okay, so, and we did have someone on the chat who made their guess. They guessed the tiny bug, which was by the Jenga block, and they were correct. So my friend, you have some awesome memory there. That is great. But I know that Caroline had a little trouble remembering, and I think that I might have trouble remembering as well. So I thought we could talk about kind of what it means to remember something, and talk about ways to help improve our memory too. And we'll do some additional tests to see if these methods work with us a little bit better. So when we're remembering something, we're taking information, right, that comes from the world, that comes from our senses. It can be something that we see or smell or hear or touch, or reading or watching, right? That's still kind of seeing.
Definitely.
Information we're taking in, and we're creating a connection in our brains. Our brains are all about sending these messages, and to send messages to help us remember things, they have to be connected in this in kind of like a chain. So if we think about the information being kind of like electricity, and it is, we would call it action potential. But the impulse, the way that this information travels, is sort of like electricity. It needs a path to go through, just like electricity does. It needs a whole circuit to travel through. You can't have electricity randomly jumping from other places. In order for a light bulb to light up, it needs a clear path from the power source to the light bulb. So if we're talking about creating those paths, those connections, we might have different methods for doing it. I know that, and actually, if any of you in the chat have any methods that you used when you were looking at it, how did you start to remember? those might be some of the ones that I was going to suggest. There's lots of ways to improve memory, and one of these is called mnemonic devices. I might actually have you write that in the chat if you could, Caroline.
Yes.
It's spelled funny. I think it's MN.
Mhm.
So mnemonic device is something it's kind of a trick to help you remember something better, to create a connection that's kind of a stronger bridge in your mind so that you can connect one idea to another. I'm going to turn on my experiment cam really quickly here so we can talk more about some examples.
Sounds perfect.
So I've got a bunch of items here, and they're not really related to each other. And this is something that I ask all of you to do, is just to get a bunch of random items. But there's different things that I can do to help them stick in my brain, to help me make a better connection. One of these things is to do grouping. So this is true for any kind of information we're putting in, but we're going to try it with this. We're going to put them in groups. And I think there's a bunch of different ones we could do. What do you think I could put these in groups based on? Could I make some groups that are items that are big? Could I do items that are made of plastic? What are your guys' ideas? How can I group these items?
I know one group that comes to mind.
Yeah, tell me what you're thinking, Caroline.
Looks like, oh, someone already said it. Yes. Well, you can go by kind of shape, or what I'm seeing is animal.
Yeah, we could go by what they are, what kind of type of thing they are, whether they're an animal. We could group them according to their different, I guess, relations in the animal kingdom, though they are not all animals. We have a lot of friends in the chat who are saying color.
Yes.
Color is a really good one because in general, humans have a really great color vision. So I think this is a good idea. I'm going to group these by color. And I'm going to move them around a little bit. I'm going to say wood is one color. Then I'm going to have green things over here. This one's kind of yellowish. This one's, I guess, a little bit more brown. I'm going to put it right between the light wood and green.
Perfect.
I'm going to have my penguin is black on top, so I'm going to put it black over here. We'll put blue things here. I'm going to put yellow things here, red things there. Almost ready. That's more red. Even though that's not wood, it's still a little bit more like that. Put those here. And then I have some ones that are these are kind of tricky, I guess. They're a little hard to see. I might actually replace this one with something that's easier to see. I'm going to replace it with a dolphin so that we can see it better. That way it's more fair. These are for grayish, whitish things. Okay, so I've got them divided by color now. Got yellow things, got green things. I guess we'll call this I'll call it a yellow thing after all.
Sounds good.
We've got red, we've got kind of cream colored. We have gray and white over here. We also have black over here, and we have blue and orange. So we have a lot of different colors of things. I'm going to kind of take my camera back for just a second so we haven't been staring at these too much. We've done that, we've grouped them according to color. And what that's done is it's taken us some more time. We've thought about each item more. So what this is doing is creating stronger connections between us and these items. And this is a really great thought in the chat. We have some other ideas about how we could group things. We could do it according to shape, according to what you can do with it, according to function. I love this. Maybe we'll have a chance to test that out. I wanted to give you all a chance to test out our mnemonic device here. I'm going to switch my camera again. We're going to do the same experiment. We've got 30 things here. And I'm wondering if I give you another 10 seconds with these, will that our mnemonic device be enough to help us remember which item is missing? So I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera. We'll give you 10 seconds.
Perfect.
All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when I was counting, I realized that I missed one item. I didn't put it in its proper group, but maybe we'll be able to tell which one it is anyway. All right. So I've gone and removed one item. We're going to switch it back. Same as before. We'll give you guys a second to guess, and then Caroline will hear from you. I'm going to go ahead and switch that camera over. What do you think? Ooh, this is so interesting, Caroline. We have someone who put a guess in the chat. I won't tell you what the guess is, but they said that they know what color the item that was missing is. We have another person, same thing. That's so interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
All right, let's go ahead and ooh, we have a few guesses here. I'll go ahead and have you guess, Caroline. What do you think?
Okay, well, I similarly actually remember specifically the color. It is that our green item that was at the bottom is missing. In between the green and yellow used to be there, but I don't know what it is.
Interesting. So the color created a really strong impression in your mind, and you also remembered the placement.
Definitely.
Just like we have some guesses in the chat. We have some people saying it was something green, and it was something green. We even had one friend who guessed it was the green dino. And
yes,
it is the green dino that was missing. So that's so funny. You knew exactly where it was placed. You kind of saw where the hole was. You knew it must have been something green. So I think that that's a little bit closer than not knowing at all.
absolutely. That is a really great memory tool. It helps us to remember the general category and an element of your item.
So one of these things is creating groups. And while I'm talking, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I think, mix up our items just a little bit, because we're going to try and test one more thing in this last minute.
Sounds good.
And mixing these things around and taking them out of their groups. There's a lot of other things that can help us remember things. I know one of the things I like to do that I don't think we'll have time for in this experiment, one of the things I like to do for this experiment is creating a narrative. When we tell ourselves stories, that's something that humans have always done to help us remember things. So if I can tell myself a story about how I walked into an area that had 2 fish, and then I saw that those 2 fish were eating 3 bugs, and I saw that I remembered that I was hungry, so I brought the tiny apple and tiny orange that I have on here, right? And I can create a story using all of these pieces. And what that does is create a stronger connection that helps me remember them. This is a really good thought too. Someone was saying, you could think about which room it's from. Oh, so you could think about its function. You could also think about where maybe in your house it goes, or what other things it's associated with. All of these things you're using as almost like steps or handholds to help you remember them and make stronger connections. There's one more I wanted to test. And maybe Caroline, I don't know, were you able to grab something scented? Or is that one that I have? It's
you
okay.
have the scented. I do not have scented.
That's totally fine. Caroline, what we'll do, and this is actually perfect for our last memory test, is we'll see if having a smell associated with me looking at your tray helps me remember it. And I don't know if any of you at home were able, we said this was an optional one. You don't have to, you can always try it afterward. But if you have something that is scented that you can easily like remove a cap from, so not spraying something in the room, but having the smell, removing it, and taking it back. There's a reason why smell. I have some peppermint extract right here. smell is this really amazing sense that we have that humans don't think a whole lot about. I think we use our eyes so much, but our sense of smell is connected to a part of our brain that's really close to the part of our brain where our memories are stored, that the part of our brain that works
Oh,
on our memories. So I guess I should mention the part of our brain that that remembers things is our hippocampus, is just the name of it, and it's right by our kind of olfactory sense, so our sense of
mhm.
smell, that part of our brain. So this is why oftentimes smells can trigger really strong memories. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I can remember exactly how my first grade class smelled. Um,
Definitely.
and there are times too when there's a certain smell in the air, like in the change of the seasons, and it just makes me remember all of these times. Oh, I remember when it smelled this time last year and we did this, this, and this. Our
The
sense of
smell of a
smell is
campfire. Oh, go ahead.
exactly. Our sense of smell is connected to memory. So my hypothesis is that smelling this while I'm trying to remember something will help me remember it. I don't know. We'll see if it works here in our last minute.
Sounds
What I'm going
good.
to do, and what you can do if you're smelling something at home, is to open your container, open your bottle, and put it close to you. And we're going to start just breathing normally, just smelling this while we're taking the 10 seconds to look at Caroline's tray.
Yes. And I added one more item, just
Oh,
one. So there's 14 now.
so Caroline has 14. We'll see if you can remember. All right, Caroline, I'm ready whenever you are.
All right, I'll start it. We'll count down from 10. And again, feel free to put your guesses in the chat once we come back. Okay. Just take 10 seconds to look at it first.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay.
All right.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay.
All
And
right.
then I'm going to take something away now, and then we'll have everyone put their thinking caps on, see if they can remember what went missing.
So I have, while we were coming back, I put my smell away so I can kind of clear my nose a little bit. And I just kind of
Yes.
smell regular room air now.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna see. I guess we didn't do the tests with me this whole time, but I think that we'll see if
Good test.
if I can
Yes.
if I can tell if it triggers a memory for me.
Yes, sounds good. All right, we're going to go back and feel free to start putting your guesses in the chat. Then Peregrine will take their guess.
I think it was. Oh, sorry. I'll give everybody else a chance really quickly. I think I have an idea of what it was.
Awesome.
And since this is my first test, I guess it's a little hard to tell if smell helped me. But I do know something. I guess I have another hypothesis that whenever I smell mint in the future or peppermint extract in the future, I'll think about this lab at home. I bet that that will connect a memory for me.
Definitely.
What do you think, friends? Do you know what was missing? Or maybe you know what part of the tray it was in or what color it was?
Absolutely. Any element.
We have a friend who guessed.
Totally fine. We don't
I
know the
saw
name.
a chat notification. I didn't see which one it was.
Yep. Yep. There's a friend who doesn't know the name, but they know what it is. If you want, you can describe it in the chat in any way.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead since we're right at the end here. And
yes, go ahead.
I'm going to make my guess.
Go ahead and go for your guess.
I'm not totally sure what it was. It was next to the pieces of candy, and it was sort of a like whitish colored. It was very smooth. It was sort of
absolutely
maybe an oval shape.
Yes, and clear. We got a clear in the chat. So it was, it's okay. Most people wouldn't be able to guess. It was a contact.
Oh, oh, that's great.
So yes, it was right next to the candy. Good guesses.
That is so much fun. I wonder if in the future I will associate contact lenses and the smell of peppermint. That's so great.
Definitely.
Well, I think that this is something that that should take more experimenting. I know that I'm going to be testing out whether mint does help me remember different things, or if it makes any difference at all, or if there's other ways to group them, like a lot of you guys were mentioning. I'd love to see if that affects my memory at all. That was so cool. This is something that works not only for items, but for numbers and facts and names, all kinds of things. You can group them by different things about the name. If you're trying to remember names, you could group them by letter. You could tell yourself a story about the names, or just maybe you could use your sense of smell to help you remember. Friends, thank you so much for joining us on Lab at Home today. I hope we'll see you again next week, where we will be revisiting some experiments about pandemic safety, since we're at about a year of pandemic now, which also means around a year of Lab at Home. I hope that we'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your day, friends.